So wait.
Let's go.
Okay. And challah.
Yeah.
These are live. This is Gimel.
You want
These,
to put camera? See your face.
oh, why is this thing here? This shouldn't be here. Here we go. All right, don't go crazy back here. Calm down. Calm down. There we go. Nope. Okay. These these are liable to challah, but are exempt from maasros, lechet, shichacha, peah, and lehevka, maaser rishon, from which its truma had been set aside, maaser sheni, and hagdish, which had been redeemed. The remainder of the omer and produce which has not reached a third of its growth. If Eliezer says produce which has not reached a third of its growth is exempt from challah. These are liable to maasros, but are exempt from challah. Rice, millet, poppy seed, sesame, pulse, and less than 5/4 of grain. Sponge cakes, honey cakes, paste balls, pancakes, and meduma are exempt from challah. Dough, which was first sponge cake and in the end sponge cake, is exempt from challah. First dough and in the end sponge cake, first sponge cake and the end dough is liable to challah, and so we are kin uvaka. No, that's wrong. Ken uvka cakes liable, and so
Okay,
are
right, and right, that was also a sort of a thick dough that was also okay. Basically, if the thin dough doesn't require challah, it's considered that's not considered bread. But if it's at any part in the process, at any point in the process, it was a thick dough, then um, then it does require challah.
right.
All right, hamaisa. Maisa is Kati says is that's flour that you put into boiling water, okay, which scalds it somehow. Beis Shammai potrin or Beis Hillel mechayvin. So Beis Shammai say you don't need to take challah, but Beis Hillel say you do. A chalita, which is what? Maim rotchim shenitnu l'toch kemach. You poured boiling water into the flour.
Over the
Beis
flour.
Shammai mechayvin or Beis Hillel potrin. Okay, and everyone looks at this and scratches their heads and says, what is the difference between Ma'isa and Chilita? One, you're putting the flour into the boiling water, and the other, we're putting the boiling water into the flour. But tachlis, it's the same thing. So what the Gemara explains is that this is it's actually this mission is two different Tanaim who are having a machlokes about what Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel hold.
Mhm.
The one Tana says that Beis Shammai is the Makil here, and the other Tana says that Beis Hillel is the Makil. But ultimately, Me'isa and Chalita are exactly the same thing, and they're just arguing about what is the machlokes in fact. Okay, the hmm?
Sometimes it's true that the way you put it in, if you put one in first and then the other, it makes a difference in the cooking in some things.
Oh yeah, it does. And you've been in the kashrus class, so you know that there's a difference tata gava, which is in terms of cooking and basa b'chalav and
Right.
transfers of taste. Yeah. But nonetheless, in this particular case, the maskana is that they're actually talking about the same thing.
Right.
Okay, chalos toda rakike nazir. So when you're bringing a korban toda, you've got to bake a whole bunch of loaves of bread. And same thing with the Rikike Nazir. If a person is a Nazir and he's bringing his korbanos at the end of his period as a Nazir, he has to bake these breads.
Mhm.
Right now, do you need to take challah from them? Well, that depends. If he made them for himself, a sign la'atzmo patur, he doesn't have to take challah from it because the dough itself is intrinsically kadosh. He's making it entirely for himself. So there's no need to take challah from it if the whole thing is going to the mikdash. However, lim korba shuk, if he is a merchant and he's making things that are korban grade loaves, so that Nazirian or people who want to bring a korban toda can buy them from him and take them to the mikdash, there he has to take challah. Why? Because there's a chance that they won't be sold. And if they're not sold, he's going to look at them and say, well, I guess I should just eat them. So um, so therefore we don't. So therefore he is required to take challah from them in case he fails to sell them, and then he has to eat them himself. Yeah. Isa saklavim. So literally this is dog dough, It's something made for dogs, but let's just say for animals. I can't imagine why dogs would be eating flour. I suppose you do get dogs who'll just eat anything. Once I find once you've given them Royal Canin, they're not interested in much else. Okay, but bisman sheharoim ochlin mimena. If the shepherds themselves eat from this dog dough, that means it's okay. It'll do. It'll do for human use. In that case, you have to take challah from it. Furthermore, once it's considered human food, a whole bunch of other laws kick in. One ma'arvin bo, you can make an eruv for this on Shabbos. And that's basically the same. It's just the sheet of mavos is the joining of alleyways between houses. Okay, and of course you make a bracha on it. And if one person of your zimun has eaten this dog dough and everyone else has had regular food, you can count him in for the minyan, for the zimun. Even if all three of them have eaten that, you make a zimun on it. And you're allowed to bake it on Yom Tov because you're not allowed to do a melacha for ochel nefesh on Yom Tov. And if he somehow managed to make it into matzah, then it's valid to have it on Pesach. And the counterpart, if the shepherds would not eat from it, then it falls out of the category of human food. You don't have to take challah from it. You can't make an eir from it for and you can't do a shituf mavos. You don't even make a bracha on eating it. And therefore, if somebody did eat it, he can't join into a zimun. And you're not allowed to make it on Yom Tov because you're allowed to make human food on Yom Tov. You're not allowed to do malacha for animal food. Okay. And a person cannot fulfill his obligation with it on Pesach if it's made into matzah. But even whether it's edible for humans or for animals, it is susceptible to the tumah of ochlin. Because even animal fodder is susceptible to tumah.
So if the shepherds eat it, then they can use that. Then
it's food. Then it's considered food l'chol davar.
Right, but if the shepherds are not eating, then they're not liable for this for Pesach.
Then it's right. It's not considered human food, but it is considered animal food, which means that it can still become tameh.
Right.
But you can't do all these other things with it. You can't be yotze with it on Pesach.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're going to stop there, and I'll leave you to do the rest of the chazaras by yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
A great Shabbos. Okay.
You too. Wonderful Shabbos. See you next week. Mitzvah Hashem.
Cool. Okay.